Welcome back, gamers and geeks, to another episode of Gamer Culture. My name is Kuma, and today I'm joined by another awesome guest of ours, Paingretzky. How are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm we're doing it. Our guild is what are we now? 8 out of 10 on heroic.
Ooh.
So we're gonna extend.
I miss the
and try
days.
and
I
kill...
don't, but I do.
We're gonna extend and try and kill Kel'Thuzad and Sylvanas this week. So I'm pretty excited.
In case you can't tell from that little bit, we are talking about World of Warcraft today. There's been a lot of chatter in the news about Blizzard. We are not going to be touching on any of the drama surrounding Activision Blizzard specifically, just talking about WoW, some of its updates, and what's kind of going on with the game. So, Payne, you were talking right before we started recording that you've only been playing for about a year, right?
Yes, I think I started last July, which would have been 2020.
Mm-hmm.
And I really
Good time
started.
To start.
Yeah, so I actually basically started playing because, let's see, in March, the world kind of ended, and I got sent home from work, to work from home. And I was mostly up to that point, I had been a console gamer, and I did a lot of my gaming very socially, I would say. I would go to a lot of gaming bars. I was playing in Smash Ultimate tournaments a lot.
Nice.
And then I kind of, got stuck at home. And the only, real way to game super socially from home is with a PC, it seems.
Yep, agreed.
At least I have Discord.
Yeah.
And so I ended up buying my gaming PC and starting to venture into that world. And I kind of started with Overwatch, which is another Blizzard game.
Yep.
I'm not very good at Overwatch.
Same. Same. It's fine.
I would play with my friends, my real life friends, but I could kind of tell they didn't like carrying me through Overwatch so much, and they got very into WoW. Okay. And so I was like, this is going to be the only way I get to hang out with them is if I start playing WoW. Otherwise, I'm just going to see them every other week for our D&D sessions. So I started kind of getting into WoW to be able to still hang out with them. And now I have progressed and am an officer in our guild.
Nice. Congrats. It's an odd thing, me and WoW. I started playing seriously back in 2013, right when Siege of Orgrimmar dropped for Mists of Pandaria, which was the last major raid for the expansion. And then I played up until about 2018 when I about 2019, before I was able to really kick the habit, and a habit it was. I still say that I have a WoW prop, a legit WoW problem. But one of the things I always loved about WoW was the story. And right now, something they've been doing for a lot of the expansions, really you could arguably since way back Wrath of the Lich King, is stories involving the character of Sylvanas, the leader of the undead. And I know Shadowlands right now is... I don't know how much it features her directly. I know that she definitely is the one who got the expansion into motion by opening the rift into the Shadowlands. So what's going on with the story right now? Like overall story, most current updates. What's the story of the game at right now?
Yeah. So where we are now, there is the jailer. My boyfriend is going to murder me if he watches this video on my lore knowledge. There is the jailer who is kind of in charge of them also. But, the story, it takes place in the afterlife per se. And there's different factions. And then there's the Maw. And the jailer's kind of in charge of the Maw, and he keeps the minions there, and souls get sucked there. And Anduin has kind of been a big part of the expansion
King
too.
Of the Humans, leader of the Alliance, yeah.
Yeah, so he, when you first start the expansion, you're stuck in the Maw, and you're trying to get out with some of the other leaders of different factions and different like major characters in WoW. And Anduin gets left behind and gets captured by the jailer, and then the jailer kind of takes over Anduin's body and kills the leader of Bastion.
Okay.
And gets a key. So there's 4 keys for the 4 different not factions. Like, I don't know. Oh, covenants. That's the word for them.
Okay, and those are like kind of those are like the 4 factions that you can kind of join in this current expansion, right?
Correct. Yeah. So there is the Night Fae, the Venthyr, the Necrolords, and what are the Bastion people called? They're from Bastion. I'll remember their name eventually. Kyrian. That's the word.
Okay. All very WoW names. Okay.
Yes. And so I think the idea is that, to kill each leader of each one, and you're going to get they get a key. The jailer will have this key where he will have the ultimate power. So with the latest patch, the first patch, it was, the raid was in, the Venthyr area, and that the one of the leaders or the head guys of the Venthyr, Cyrodiil Athreus, was evil and kind of colluding.
It's always got to be one.
Yeah, kind of colluding with the jailer. So the end of that raid was killing killing Cyrodiil Athreus and his evil sword. And then this patch started. And all of the covenants have kind of come together in the Maw to fight back against the jailer. So that bringing along tying into the gameplay is every couple days there's a different assault going on in the Maw where there's a set of quests you complete, and you get X amount of rewards for doing them, and they're each led by each of the different covenants. So they're kind of changing up, and there's different like secret things you can do in each one, leading to mounts and different pets and stuff as well.
Sure. Yeah.
And then
standard WoW affair.
Yeah. And so also one of the first cinematics for this expansion was a nice fight between Tyrande and Sylvanas. That kind of sends Sylvanas off. And we learned that oh wow, my brain.
The lore overload.
Tyrande has gotten her power,
which she got from Elune. She's like the night warrior or something, right?
Yeah, and Elune we kind of find out is I guess we do find out, the head of the Night Fae, the Winter Queen's sister.
Okay.
And so there's a couple cinematics where Tyrande is speaking, but it's Elune speaking inside of her.
Okay.
And she Tyrande's already kind of crazy, but she's going more crazy.
She went a little crazy in the last expansion. She's like, I've got night warrior powers, and now I'm just gonna kill a bitch.
Yeah, and she didn't. And
all of that for nothing.
So that leads into the raid, where you are, fighting these different kind of people that have pledged their allegiance to the jailer, and ends with you fighting Sylvanas. I don't know if we want spoiler alert here.
We've already been talking a lot about the story. Like anyone who hasn't played it is, and is listening to this, like we've already treaded. I would say we'll throw spoiler warnings up.
Yeah, and if it's released in LFR now, so anyone can do it. But yeah. And I think the end, we're done with the campaign so far for this patch. So you watched the last cinematic of the raid at the end of the campaign too.
Right.
But you don't end up killing Sylvanas in the final fight. You got her down to 50%. Or 46% if you're doing it in Mythic. She ends up kind of like, in my opinion, she's kind of like questioning her decisions about like, I should not have done this kind of. Like you kind of like there's some close-ups on her face where she's maybe like I think kind of feeling pity for Anduin and kind of what she's like domino affected.
She's like, I may have gone too far here.
So she tries to shoot the jailer with her withering arrow, which supposedly never misses, but he catches it. And then he ends up taking Anduin and going through a portal. But before he does, he takes her power. So she's no longer, I think she's considered mortal again, and leaves her with Jaina and Thrall to, kind of, he says like, do with her what you will kind of thing. And, I'm going to leave you to their mercy.
Right.
So that is where we are now.
Okay.
Anduin ends up dropping a compassy locket thing. And
it's always a locket in WoW. Sylvanas had a locket, Anduin's got a locket.
And they kind of think that he left it as a clue. Like there's some part of him that's still Anduin, and this is the clue he's left behind. It's kind of where it ends.
Okay. It's interesting. Like I like Sylvanas. I liked her as a character. I liked her when they made her war chief, and then they kind of pulled a Garrosh with her in that, in the Mists of Pandaria expansion, Garrosh Hellscream, he goes from this orc who learns to take pride in being an orc and being a member of the Horde and being a little warmongery, but no more than really most other orcs, not including like maybe Thrall, who's the only, cool-headed orc, him and Sarfang. But and then they just go full like orc Hitler with him in that game or in that expansion, and you're like, all right, a little much. And then they go into Warlords of Draenor, and he's just like full on psychotic. And it's wild what they do with his character. And Sylvanas, I feel like they did the same thing where they're like, I can understand her whole thing of like, I want to master death, but I feel like they it's a weird character progression with her in the villain that they've been trying to make her out to, and now I guess they're going to try and redeem her. Who knows what they're going to do with her. But talking about shenanigans with Sylvanas, I know they've been retreading some stuff from the old story. I know they brought back the Green Dragon aspect, Ysera, through some weird star magic shit, I think, right?
I don't know how she got brought back, but I know that she's part of a lot of the stuff with Tyrande and the stuff in the Night Fae and having to do with the Winter Queen.
And it's wild because she died in BFA. God, did she die in BFA or Legion? It's bleeding through my head. I think she died in Legion. I could be wrong though, but she dies and they make this big deal out of it. I was like, Elune like comes down with her magic and brings her body up into the sky. And it was Legion because you turn her into she's like an evil dragon you have to fight. And they like make a constellation out of her and you're like, oh, it's so cool. The dragon aspects are like kind of slowly, becoming a thing of the past. And now they're like, no, Sarah's back because why not? Because moon magic, y'all. Because
content.
So obviously with all the drama going on with ActiBliz right now, I know that's causing some delays in content. Have you felt any of those? Has it felt like there's been some stuff that's kind of dragging a bit, maybe some late patches, or was it kind of a minor hiccup in terms of the content as a player?
Well, I think that there was a long time between the expansion release and 9.1, like almost like 7, I want to say like 7 months.
That's WoW though. Like,
yeah.
WoW's like that's one of the reasons I stopped playing was like, man, it's been months since anything's come out, and they're like, yeah, that's normal. Like, fucking hell.
Yeah, but that came out before all of the drama came out.
Yeah.
Right. So I think that we haven't seen it yet, but we definitely will. They released, or they announced 9.1.5, which isn't a content update. It's just more quality of life stuff, which is pretty normal
Okay.
for the 0.5 patch to be that. But I do anticipate probably being in this patch for a while.
A little bit of okay. Now, what kind of quality of life stuff? So as someone who does not play right now, what are they changing that was the quality of life, bugger that they're trying to fix?
So there's some small, like minor things like that are happening. There are gonna be like some cosmetic changes that are going on. So currently, you picked your covenant at the start of or I guess when you hit level 60 or around there, you pick your covenant. They kind of changed some stuff before this too, where you can pick your covenant and not have to go through the storyline to level up. You can kind of just do what's called the strings of fate and just level to get your covenant renowned up.
Okay.
They are going to be changed. So currently, you pick your covenant, and most players right now are not picking the covenant that they want to play per se. They're picking the covenant that's best for their DPS or whatever kind of
whatever
end
gives
game,
the best bonuses, kind of min-maxing it.
Yeah, or whatever end game idea you have. Like if you're raiding and that's all you do, you kind of look up what covenant is going to give me the best ability, because there's abilities that come with each covenant.
Sure.
So which one's going to give me the best ability for my character, for my class to do X content that I want to do. And that's how they played. And Blizzard is kind of like, oh, well, we didn't think people were going to do that. We thought they would pick the covenant they felt attached to.
Come on,
and it's like,
Blizz.
no, no one is going to do that.
If you tie any numerical bonuses to anything, we're gonna min-max. If it was purely aesthetics and like toys and mounts and transmog gear, that would be one thing. But if you're gonna be like, hey, you get these abilities or this equipment or this shit, it's like, obviously, yes, you're gonna be like, everyone in the guild needs to be in their most optimal covenant, otherwise you're not dealing the most DPS and you're not gonna be on the raid. Like, that's how WoW works, guys. You make the game.
So people looked up what their best covenant was. I got super lucky, and my best one, or one of my best ones, was the one that I liked, which is the Night Fae. Nice. But as things have changed and different things have gotten released with patches, people are kind of seeing like, oh, maybe this ability is better for me. So they're changing covenants. And currently, to change covenants, it's like a 2-week process at least. And that's if you're like playing consistently, because you have to switch and then get your renown up, because renown is kind of how you earn your covenant abilities. So you have to switch and then get your renown up with that covenant to like prove loyalty to them. And then that's how you switch. So they are going to change it. So once you're at max renown, you can switch covenants without that cooldown or restrictions.
Okay.
And so there's going to be like more flexibility. And if you've done them on alt characters, if you've already done storylines on alt characters for those other covenants, then it's account wide and carries over. So you don't have to do any of the storylines. So it's kind
really
of
cool.
This expansion is very not alt friendly, just because there's so many systems and so many different currencies and so much going on, that if you want to be good at a character, you kind of have to pick one to max out their stuff at.
And that sucks, because WoW is a game of alts. Even I had a ton of alts that I would screw around on, but I had my main and I had my other. I had my Shadow Priest, who I've had since freaking Mists, and everyone's like, don't play Shadow Priest, it's bad. I'm like, I know, that's why I like it. And because no one expects the Shadow Priest to be dealing a shit ton of DPS, which is really cool in those brief moments you do. But and then I've got my warrior who kind of came into prominence during Warlords. So it's kind of a bummer to hear that for a while. I guess it's better now, but that it was so alt unfriendly, and I don't know if that was something they may have done on purpose, kind of be like, focus your attention on one character for a while, and then they do this, or if it was something where they're like, we fucked up, let's fix this.
Yeah, I think some of the stuff in there. Well, this next one for sure. There are conduit abilities that you get. It's kind of like a talent tree type thing.
Okay.
But you have to kind of earn the conduits, and there's an item level attached to them. You want to upgrade them or try and get higher drops. But currently, to change them, you have to use conduit energy, and you only get like X amount of energy per week. And since PTR, people have been saying this is stupid. It doesn't affect me so much. So they're getting rid of conduit energy. So you can change your conduits as much as you want.
Okay.
I play a Beast Mastery Hunter. And even if I change specs, which I only play Beast Mastery, the conduits don't change too much for me. Whereas if I was playing like a druid or something where you could play all the classes, or, you could play healer, tank, or DPS, you're going to need to be changing more conduits more often.
Right.
For myself, I raid and do M+ dungeons, so I have like one conduit I change out. So I've never had an issue with conduit energy, but they are getting rid of that. So, if you did want to explore the different specs that they can do, then that makes it so much easier and not have to worry about like running out and not being able to change back.
Okay.
And then what was some of the other stuff? They're doing some stuff with BFA raids that are making them more accessible. Island expeditions, you can solo queue for them. What was there was some other, let me look really quick, my notes. When you start Shadowlands on a new character, currently, you've had to do, I talked about a little bit earlier, where you're escaping from the maw and you end up leaving Anduin behind. You would have to do that whole quest line on every character. And it was very slow and like very that's bothersome.
That's kind of normal anytime you like start an expansion, having to do that. Although I think, and I could be completely misremembering this, I think BFA lets you skip it.
I don't know, because I played one character in BFA. Right. So if I did it and then never went back. But I have done a couple alts I don't really play anymore, again, because of how alts are. But at the beginning, I was like, I'm going to have these alts. And especially towards the end of 9.0, there wasn't a lot to do anymore. We'd cleared the raid on heroic. We had gotten Keystone Master. So I was like, well, I'm going to start playing on some alts because, I'm kind of out of stuff to do. And then the patch dropped and now I can't do that. But like having to go through that same storyline again where nothing is changing. There's no difference from character to character. It's the same story and the same quest and the same cinematics. They are making that skippable now. So that is nice. So things are kind of headed in that more alt-friendly direction, I would say, especially with being able to switch between the covenants.
That's good. I mean, like you said, WoW is definitely a game of alts, especially if you're a long-term player. So, having those options to not have to swap out all those conduit thingies, actually being able to skip those opening cutscenes, just being able to kind of streamline the experience. I can understand trying to lock people into one experience early into the game, but now that the game's been out for a little while, let's speed up that starting experience a little bit, get the alts closer to the end game so they can start doing what they have to do. It's conversations like this that make me kind of miss WoW. I definitely like the Covenants sound really interesting. I always love the story of WoW. Say what you want about it. Its ups and downs. I as someone who loved Miss Pandaria when people were joking about it's pandas and WoW, but I've loved the story through all of its ups and downs. I thought it was all cool. So seeing all this stuff, hearing all this stuff just makes me want to be like, I could always just dip my toe back into it. And then, I'm lost for the next 6 months. Hey guys, where'd Kuma go? But that's about all the time we have to discuss WoW today. We've already gone, as per normal, we always say, it's gonna be like a 10-15 minute episode. We're coming up on like half an hour here. But Pain, thank you a lot for coming on to the show today. I appreciate it. I don't think we've ever just talked one-on-one.
Yeah, I don't think so. But yeah, it was awesome. I will come back anytime.
Awesome. We are definitely is a word now. Let's swap that P with an F. Definitely going to have you back closer to Halloween when we're going to be talking a bit about Man of Medan. Let's make that 3 words, not 1. And talk about the dev, talk about all their games, and just talk about a bit of the spooky touch in life. But until then, Pain, where can people find you and what you do?
Yeah, I stream pretty much Monday through Thursday, streaming WoW at twitch.tv/Paingretzky. Nice. And then on all social medias, if you search Paingretzky, I'm usually the one that pops up.
Awesome. And everyone, you can find Gamer Culture at gamerculture.com and right here on YouTube, where you can find a huge backlog of videos talking about just chit chats, opinion pieces on the website. You can find articles and reviews of gaming going back years. You can find Gamer Culture on social media, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Gamer Culture, one word, culture with a K. And don't forget to check out all the offerings over at the Grand Geek Gathering as well, where there is an enormous backlog of a huge variety of content. Some of my favorites are the most extreme ranking challenges. Those things are hilarious to watch. If you haven't, go check those out. But until next time, everybody, thank you very much for watching. My name is Kuma. Our guest was Paingretzky. Stay cultured and GGG.